Have you ever felt like you were waking up from a dream, as if suddenly the reality that always seemed solid and certain began to crumble? And behind it, something much vaster, quieter, and more real began to emerge? That's the beginning of a spiritual awakening, a deep, mysterious, and transformative process that doesn't follow a straight path. Awakening is like a spiral, like DNA itself. It moves in cycles, sometimes returning to old points with a new light, and each person experiences it in their own unique way. But despite the differences, there are universal stages that many go through. These stages aren't rigid rules, they're maps, guides to help you understand what's happening within you. In this video, you'll discover the 5 stages of spiritual awakening, explained with depth and clarity. Maybe you'll recognize yourself in one of them, maybe in all of them. Perhaps this is the key to finally understanding a chapter of your life that's felt confusing or lonely. Stage 1. The unconscious self. In the first stage, we are asleep, even though our eyes are open. We live completely identified with the ego. We believe we are our thoughts, emotions, achievements, failures, traumas, and stories. Our identity is shaped by everything the world has placed upon us: names, roles, labels, fears, beliefs, expectations. And because we are immersed in all of this, we can't see beyond it. We react to the world automatically, like a program running on repeat. We live in constant defense, as if the world is always out to get us. Why does this always happen to me? Why do people treat me this way? Why is life so hard? These questions come from the pain of a wounded self that believes life is happening to them, not through them. In this stage, suffering feels personal. We blame the world, others, even ourselves. But rarely do we stop to question the deeper root of all this pain. Stage 2. The crack. Something breaks. Maybe it's a crisis, the loss of someone, a betrayal, an illness, a failure, a heartbreak, or maybe it's silence, a deep, inexplicable emptiness even when everything seems fine. This moment shakes the ground beneath your feet. The old stories no longer make sense. What once brought comfort now feels fake, empty, or meaningless. It's not always dramatic on the outside, but inside there's a collapse, a realization that the life you've been living was built on illusions. This is where the crack opens. And through it, the first rays of light begin to enter. It's painful, confusing, even terrifying. But it's also the beginning of freedom. Because now, you start asking different questions. Who am I? Really? Why am I here? What is the truth behind all of this? Stage 3. The seeker. Once the illusion crumbles, you begin the search. You dive into books, courses, videos, practices. You want to remember something you've never quite known, but somehow always felt. You begin to sense that there's something greater, a consciousness behind all things, a presence that observes everything, including your own thoughts. You experiment with meditation, breathwork, journaling, fasting, sacred silence. You start seeing signs, synchronicities, and patterns you used to ignore. You begin to detach from certain people, habits, and environments. You're no longer satisfied with superficial pleasures. You want depth, you want truth, you want inner peace, even if you don't know exactly what that means yet. But this stage also has a shadow. The ego can reappear wearing spiritual clothing, convincing you that you're more awakened, more high vibe, more enlightened than others. That's just another trap. True awakening requires humility, the kind that recognizes that no matter how much you read or practice, truth is something that can only be lived, not just understood. Stage 4. The death of the old self. Eventually, something deeper begins to happen. You no longer want to just seek the truth, you want to become it, and to do that, the old self must die. This is the stage of ego death, a sacred unraveling of everything you thought you were. It's the letting go of control, identity, resistance, stories, and masks. It's not glamorous. It can feel like depression, isolation, loss. It can feel like everything is falling apart because in a way it is. But what's actually collapsing is the illusion. This is a sacred purification, a fire that burns away everything that is not you, so that what is, you can finally emerge. In this darkness, you begin to discover a new kind of light, a presence that doesn't need definitions, a peace that doesn't depend on circumstances, a love that has no opposite. Stage 5. The remembering. In this stage, you begin to remember, not with the mind but with the soul. You remember that you are not separate from life, that the same force that creates galaxies beats in your chest, that there is no outside or inside, only one infinite unfolding. You don't become a saint or guru. You just become real, present, honest. You embrace both your light and your shadow, your joy and your grief. You don't need to prove anything anymore. You don't need to search endlessly, because now you trust. You understand that awakening is not a final destination. It's a way of being in the world, a return to presence again and again, a sacred dance between forgetting and remembering. And even when you get lost, you know how to come back, because now you've seen through the dream, you've touched something eternal, and it lives in you always. Conclusion. The spiritual path is not about escaping life, it's about seeing life clearly and living it fully. It's not about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. If you're going through this journey, know that you're not alone. Every stage, even the darkest ones, is part of the awakening. Honor your path, trust the timing, and most of all, listen to the silence within. That's where the truth lives.